Hello, my name is Joseph McDaniel, the Tuesday AM teacher here at the Clay Ladies campus. Today I'm going to show you how to make a jug or a moon jar using a throwing wand. So let's get started. You want to center like normal, maybe a little bit on the taller side for a taller vessel, or wider for a wider vessel. We're going to open up just like normal. I use my thumb, use your forefinger, pinky, whatever it is that you tend to open up with. Widen just like normal. Opening up just like normal. So far so easy, right? Everything's just the same. Then want to compress the bottom just like you normally would. You've basically thrown a jar before. All right. Here's where things start to differ a little bit. So whenever I start pulling, instead of trying to pull vertically, I'm going to pull in a little bit more of a pyramidal or volcano shape, as I had one kid call it once, and I've stuck with that. The way I do that is by applying a little bit of extra force on this outside hand. And instead of applying equal pressure, applying disequal pressure in order to shape a little as I pull. If you don't get that volcano shape from the pull, no worries, I barely got it myself. So let's add a little bit of water, and in between each pull, I'll do a full body collar from the very base all the way up. The trick to throwing something with a very narrow opening is to keep the opening narrow the entire time. Add a little bit more water. Again, applying more pressure from that outside hand, pulling inwards. I'm starting to get a little bit more cylindrical shape. You just keep collaring after every pull. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually the best way to get a tall, narrow piece. Now, on my last pull, it may take you more. That is perfectly okay. We're all learning. I'm going to distribute a little bit of extra clay right here for the belly. So I'm going to actually have thicker walls in the middle than I am at the top. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put a lot of pressure here to gather up this clay, but then I'm going to lessen off some of the pressure as I get through the middle section and reapply the pressure up here at the top. So let's do that real quick. Applying pressure to pull that clay up. I'm starting to let off my pressure to redistribute that clay. And then I'm picking up a little bit of pressure again just to finish off the form. Now this is very important. Remember, any water you have down at the base, get it now. You will not be able to fit your hand in there after this point. So really make sure you gather all that water off, take your time. And as we go forward, be careful and make sure you don't put more water down in there. I've run into that problem before, and I don't have my sponge on a stick with me, so we're not going to do that today. We want to then narrow our opening as narrow as we want the finished piece to be. Let's make this a little drastic. Let's narrow it as much as possible. You don't want to create a shoulder yet. You want to make sure that this is a nice generic curve going all the way up your piece. Don't worry, we'll get that shoulder before too long, but right now we want to keep that nice and generic. As you collar in, your walls get thicker. So we can pull up and make them a little bit thinner. Go back, collar from below the point that you want to start collaring in from. And I'm going to leave it slightly thick right now. I'm not going to collar in too much more because I have just about the opening that I want. Now, how am I going to belly this out when the opening's so small? Well, the trick is to have a tool with you. This is a throwing wand. It bends to whatever shape you need it to be, as curvy or as straight as possible. I like to have mine bent to just a shallow small curve. That way I can get it in there and belly it out. That might even be just a little bit too steep. So I like to either use a throwing rib that really can contour to the shape I want it to be, or just my hand with the sponge on the outside. Make sure your tool is really lubricated. Placing down at the very base, and then slowly we're going to belly out our piece. And this will allow you to get that shoulder you need. You can also work your way back down your piece. Really work on getting that shape just refined, just like so. Now remember all that extra clay that I left there? If I hadn't left that, that would have been very difficult. I'm gonna spend a little bit more time. I'm gonna make that just a little bit more exaggerated. Make it as dramatic as possible, because if you're gonna go for this shape, go all out for it. Now you get a little wobbly, that's fine. Whenever the wheel stops, people don't notice that. Pull up a little bit more, as long as your rim is nice and secure. Now, you notice I left a lot of clay down here. That's on purpose. The taller your piece you go, the more clay you want at the base. You can just cut the majority of that off now. Whenever it comes to trimming, grab my friend Chuck. He'll help you out, make sure that you can trim this piece and trim the bottom of it just like so. Get all that extra clay off of there. And there you have your moon jar or jug. Thank you so much for learning how to make this kind of vessel with me. Throwing with a throwing wand is one of my favorite pastimes. I can't wait to see you again on the Clay Ladies campus.